Toastmaster Club of Zhongyuan Christian University.
I'm Angie from the International Student Association, and in cooperation with Seven Pillar Institute, we are interviewing Professor John Francis Diaz of the College of Business about his views on financial ethics.
Good day, Professor Diaz.
Good day, Clark and Angie, and your respective organizations.
I was there when you did your TEDx talk. I can tell that all the audience was delighted. But for those who were not able to watch your talk, could you give us a guess of what you said in your talk?
My TEDx talk is a personal story of how I realized and achieved my dream of becoming a professor and how I discovered my financial ethics advocacy. My talk encouraged listeners to not just dream for themselves, but to also have a bigger dream for our society. I know this sounds very ideal, but as we mature, we tend to think of ways on how to give back to our immediate community and even to our society as a whole. In my TEDx talk, I shared that my idealism for the financial industry was because of my business ethics classes, where I gave lectures on the biggest financial and accounting scandals. And what I discovered is that governments usually address these issues by increasing the number of regulations and imposing tighter punishments. Ironically, our supposed solutions, that is, our regulations, are not really solving the problem and even added the burden by creating more restrictive business environment and by undermining fair competition. To address this problem, I suggested in my talk that lawmakers need to be more discerning in passing new regulations by conducting a careful cost-benefit analysis before passing a new rule. And of course, benefits should totally outweigh the costs. More effective and long-term than examining regulations is the change within business organizations, where businesses ensure that they do what's right through self-regulation and self-discipline. And for me, I think this can be achieved through educating and producing ethical handlers of financial information, financial and accounting information, through this emerging field called financial ethics.
So your TED Talk is a combination of your personal dreams and your advocacy of having stronger ethics in finance. But why do you think financial ethics is important? Do you think ethics in finance as discipline is an oxymoron or big irony?
Financial ethics as a new academic discipline is important because it can provide us with ethical principles to govern the financial industry, which can serve as a moral compass to provide proper direction in preventing fraudulent activities in the future, and of course in eliminating the need for excessive regulations. This in turn minimizes economic burdens coming from fraudulent activities and compliance costs. I think the financial industry has the greatest need for a stronger ethics and self-imposed discipline because they are managing huge sums of money. As per the estimates of McKinsey Global Institute, Haver Analytics, and Bank of International Settlements, and Deutsche Bank, the total financial assets of the industry have already reached $294 trillion. And this amount is, of course, so staggering that even a small fraction of fraudulent activity can still have huge implications. Financial ethics as a relatively new academic discipline can help us educate current and future business professionals in the proper handling of financial and accounting information. This is to prevent, of course, future misdeeds. Well, regarding your second question, Angie, financial ethics as a discipline can be a big irony indeed if we are to base our judgment from the biblical statement, which says, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." But I always think money as a, double-edged sword with both advantages and disadvantages. Financial ethics can only be seen as an oxymoron or a big irony if you think of all the negative ways that greed for money can do. Well, truly, what role ethics can play if the love of money is the root of all evil? But then again, money is just a tool that has to be controlled and managed properly. And that's when financial ethics as a discipline will come in. financial ethics can educate and train.
We can sense that financial ethics is really important. Experience is the way to go. But how do we promote financial ethics among professionals and business students?
For business organizations and professionals, during the recruitment process, they can have financial ethics questions in company exams and interviews, and give orientations for new hires about the company's code of conduct, social responsibility initiatives, and ethical practices. These companies can also require employees to attend financial ethics seminars and trainings, particularly those people who are handling financial statements and other related documents. And companies can also encourage resigning employees during exit interviews, specifically those who work on financial related documents, to suggest ways on how to strengthen company ethics and to increase transparency and accountability in the treatment of financial information. And this one is tough, but if those companies can afford to, they can establish or create a corporate social responsibility center or ethics center, the likes of Walmart's Global Ethics Office or Starbucks Global Responsibility Department, and Mazda's CSR and Environment Department. This ethics center can empower employees in creating an atmosphere of moral, transparent, and consistent ethical operations. For business colleges and students, during freshman orientations, they can discuss the college's code of conduct, ethical practices, and make them aware of courses related to ethics. Business colleges can also include case studies or discussions regarding ethics in finance, in finance-related and accounting courses, or maybe even business courses in general. These academic institutions can also invite academic scholars and industry practitioners that specialize in business ethics to share their knowledge and professional experiences to budding finance professionals. And they can also require students to take up ethics in business-related courses, because these courses are also using financial ethics case studies. And if these colleges and institutions and academic institutions can create, if colleges and academic institutions can create financial ethics elective courses, the better. And if they can make that as a required course, the best.
We are aware that financial ethics is not a core course for finance-focused Master of Business Administration or MBA and Bachelor of Business Administration or BBA students here on our university, but possibly for most of universities around the world. So business school make this object a core course?
Well, Angie, Clark, I think it's a definite yes. Financial ethics should be part of the core courses of not only finance, but also accounting-focused business administration curriculum. Because graduates from these courses will soon become professionals managing crucial and sensitive financial resources. And it is required that they themselves have formal knowledge in ethics and integrity in handling these assets of the company. And this graduate should not forget the importance of financial and accounting information and resources and other related resources. And they should not be negatively influenced by few interested and misaligned parties in favoring only their personal and short-term gains. So making financial ethics as a core course can presumably ensure that finance professionals won't be part of the 9% of individuals with a tendency to misbehave. This is according to the survey or the findings of the National Business Ethics Survey in 2013. And knowledge and preparation of students as future finance practitioners are keys to having stronger and sustainable ethical practices in the financial industry.
In having the disciplines as a regular part of the business curriculum, what did you think the most important principles that professor can teach in financial ethics?
One of the most important principles is to balancing what's legal, ethical, and profitable. It has always been the case that businesses should be profitable in order to survive, compete, and expand and extend their efforts to being ethical and socially responsible. However, going above and beyond what is legal and becoming ethical often sacrifices a certain degree of profitability, thus, negatively affecting shareholders' wealth. One very good example is the issue of minimum wage. For example, in the province of West Java, Indonesia, they recently approved, as per January 2015 approval, the recently approved legally allowed minimum wage per month is approximately $80 or $960 a year. So it is legal for companies like Nike, which subcontracts manufacturing plants in the area, to just follow what the provincial legislation states. Well, knowing that the salary is just enough to support daily subsistence of an individual, and not even a family, companies like Nike can choose to be ethical by paying a little more than the minimum wage, and or maybe giving benefits, additional benefits to its factory workers. Well, you can just imagine that Nike pays its celebrity endorsers like LeBron James. And LeBron James receives approximately 1.25 million a month or 15 million a year to market the brand. So big companies like Nike or any other company can choose to be competitive and profitable while still being ethical by providing additional benefits to these workers. In my classes, I always remind my students that even if maximizing shareholders' wealth through increasing profits is the main objective of every organization, and I think this should be pursued at the very least in a legal way, and companies should still strive to increase wealth in an ethical manner, to have a more holistic approach in having good relationship with various stakeholders. One more important principle is dealing with conflict of interest and moral hazard. Conflict of interest, in most cases, is a strong manifestation of moral hazard. That is, you are taking more risks because others will take the burden. And these are demonstrated perfectly in the financial services industry, particularly in stock brokerage firms and investment houses. I tell my students that in the future, they will be facing a situation wherein multiple or layered interests are at stake. One, their professional duties. Number two, company earnings, client satisfaction, government regulations, and other related interests, including supplier benefits. Through my case studies and lecture discussions, I teach my students how to balance these competing interests by employing the following techniques. The first one is to uphold professionalism by following their job descriptions to save them from legal repercussions in the future. This also includes ensuring clients that they are qualified to do the job by showing professional competence and integrity. The second one is to maintain proper disclosure and open communication with superiors, clients, and related parties if there are perceived deviations from their job descriptions or contracts signed. And this one will also involve maintaining confidentiality as a way to prove their trustworthiness to their clients. The last one, and this can be considered, is to forego an opportunity if sometimes that opportunity presents a very, very high conflict of interest, and it means taking that risk will lead to the detriment of the client. One perfect example that violated these principles is the so-called pump and dump scheme of stockbrokers, which is common in the financial industry. This is very, very closely related to the now infamous case of Enron scandal of 2001. This scheme exposed stockbrokers and analysts from Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan Chase, and Citigroup in helping Enron inflate the stock price by giving the company a high investment grade based on its inflated profits and concealed debt. The conflict of interest was highlighted when it was found out that Enron was a big client of this giant investment firms. And at some point, we're also holding stocks of Enron. Moral hazard also came into the picture when stockbrokers and analysts took the risk of concealing and manipulating information to mislead investors and earn from those transactions in both the commissions and the capital gains.
Those were good points, Professor Diaz. I just realized that we all can be the part of financial ethics initiative by being on the solution side of the equation.
You're right, Angie. Education and training are the key to have a strong asset in the financial industry. Once again, thank you, Professor Diaz, being with us today.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you are very much welcome, partner Angie, and more power to your